Welcome to qnawire.
So in this question we are asked to read a list of numbers from user and then print out the list in reverse order. So to do that I'm taking a very simple way to read the list. So this portion is the part that reads the list, in which we print a message called enter integer number list, and we have given the procedure to do that. We can press a number and press enter and go to the next number to press enter, and if you want to exit we just don't enter a number and just press enter again. So when we do that, this is the way it reads the list. So firstly, one input is run, input function, which takes any input by the user and puts it into num, and we check if the num is empty, because when the input is run it always produces a string as an output. So we check if the string is empty. So if the string is not empty, we go ahead inside and we have a num list which is initialized as an empty list, and we append this list with a eval function run on the num, which means we convert that into an integer. So if the number is correct, if people have not pressed alphanumeric character, or at least the alphabet characters, we will get the number. We will assume that the user will be cooperative enough. So this appends the thing, and then we again run another input for the num, so that the next input will go into the same variable. This will again go to the while loop, check if the number is not empty in the terms of string. The eval function is appended, and then this keeps going on till an empty integer or an empty enter is pressed, in which case this condition will not be met and the while loops come to an end. So that's how I read the list into num list, which is this variable. Alright, so to print the number in the reverse order, this is the portion which is very simple. So for example, you have a list with integers or indexes, from 0 to 1 all the way to n, and if I give you the 0th value, you want the last value. If I give you the 1th value, you want the n minus 1th value, so on. So all you need to do is very intuitively that you want to do n minus I. Let's say I is any ith index here. So for example, let me say if I is 0 and n minus I is, if I is 0, n minus I is n. If I is 1, n minus I is n minus 1. If I is 2, is n minus 2. So I'm going forward in I, but I'm going from backward or reverse in n minus I. So this makes sense. This would be the way to convert the index from going forward to going backward. But one more thing we have to keep in mind is that in Python we don't want n, because if the length of the list is n, I mean the indexes are n, then it's fine. But if I'm using here a range of till the length of num list, so I can take any length, and I'm taking that length itself. So for example, I've taken an example over here. I've taken 3 inputs in the list, so the length of the list is 3. Now I don't want this thing to happen. If I give num list 3, I will get an error, because there is no third index in num list, because in index for a list 3 goes to 1, 2, and 0, 1 and 2. So for that reason we must also use a minus 1 with that. So if n is the list length and not the last index, then you have to also use a minus 1 with that, so that you make sure that your list starts from n minus 1 or list length minus 1 all the way to 0. Because when I is 0, you want the list index to be n minus 1 and not n. And when the length goes to n, you want the maximum index to be n minus 1 and not n. Again, for both reasons minus 1 works. So with this small information, we can see here what is happening. So in this I for range in length L, or length of list, I am taking the n index, which is the reverse of the ith index, by taking it to be minus the length minus I minus 1, as I just explained. And then all I'm doing is printing that index of the list that I have already inputted. So you can see the output over here. So if I have input of 1, 4 and 5, the output shows the reverse order of 5, 4 and 1. So this is the way this function works.